Hi, everybody. Continuing on this afternoon's reading of Prosperity Consciousness by Stephen and Chutisa. Bowman, awesome couple, freaking amazing book. One of my favorite books ever, and as you can see, super well loved. And travels with me to lots of different places. So anywho, today's chapter, I think it's the next to last one, or very close to it. It's called Prosperity Consciousness is a Choice. And in this chapter, Chutisa discusses the following ideas: choosing prosperity consciousness and exercising the power of choice, becoming aware of the story of your personal spending, showing up as the infinite being you are, and tools to help you choose prosperity consciousness. Hi, Renata. Many years ago, Steve and I began to explore what it would take for us to get out of the scarcity paradigm and into prosperity consciousness. We discovered that contrary to what a lot of people think, prosperity is not about having massive amounts of wealth and possessions. It's not just about money, resources, and assets that we can collect along the way. Prosperity consciousness is not directly related to the amount of money that people have. Rather, it is the communion they have with money, with material wealth, themselves, others, and all things. It's about the way they treat themselves and others, and about the abundance that they're willing to perceive, know, be, and receive in the world. Steve and I know many people who have gargantuan amounts of money and material wealth. I love that word, gargantuan. It's just so exciting. Steve and I know many people who have gargantuan amounts of money and material wealth, yet they're totally embroiled in a scarcity state of mind. They have been tainted by the scarcity paradigm and its greed, self-indulgence, and mistrust. They've damaged their relationships with others because of money. We've come across many business owners who are anti-conscious around money. They have vast resources, but use money as an instrument of control to have power over people. We're privileged to have participated in the world of successful business and to have been associated with extremely wealthy people. We've had many opportunities to witness the ways that people do not seem to relate well to money, even when they have a lot of it. After observing our clients' ways of relating to money, we began to question the root of their distress and unease around money, particularly because it seemed so unwarranted. From discussions that we've had with clients and colleagues, we learned that even among those who are extremely wealthy, one of the most common beliefs around money is, I don't have enough of it, I want more. A chronic sense of insufficiency. People who don't have prosperity consciousness have a chronic sense of insufficiency about life. This is the fundamental mode from which they think, act, and function in the world. Steve and I have very wealthy friends who don't have prosperity consciousness, even though they're making 7-figure incomes. These people have large amounts of money with no debt, and they're still plagued with the fear that someday their wealth will disappear. They're so ensnared in the scarcity mindset that they make choices in life that don't bring them happiness. Many of our wealthy friends choose to stay in careers that have them joylessly working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They spend their days doing jobs that they don't really want to do, just to make more money. Even when they have lots of money, they're still not happy or relaxed about it. They're always mulling over negative what-ifs, like, what if I lose my money on this transaction? What if I fail? What if I can't come up with the money for fill in the blank? What if I'm unable to come up to scratch? And they're besieged by 100 fears and judgments that make them despondent. When we go out to dinner at expensive restaurants with these friends, they make comments about how expensive meals are. We find that their comments tend to detract from our enjoyment of the moment and our appreciation of the meal. And quite often we found ourselves buying into their scarcity mindset and focusing on the cost of the meal as well. We notice that when we focus on what a meal costs, then we start judging and justifying its worth, and the whole experience becomes stressful. If we buy into other people's bogus points of view about scarcity, then we create limitations that do not allow us to expand into what is possible with money. Interesting point of view and being an allowance. Now, whenever we find ourselves in this type of anti-conscious situation around money, the moment we feel the negative energy welling up inside of us, and before the energy totally seizes us up, we diffuse these points of view by saying to ourselves, that's an interesting point of view. An interesting point of view. I have this point of view about money. And this phrase allows us to observe our own points of view without judgment. It brings to us an awareness of the point of view that we have. These statements release the energetic attachment that we have to the point of view and frees us from it. So every time we hear someone's viewpoint about money, we chose to instantly acknowledge that it's only an interesting point of view. Doesn't have to be our reality. Does not have to be what occurs. When someone comes at us with a strong point of view and we choose to say to ourselves, interesting point of view, then we shift the consciousness of the world. This occurs because we've not bought the point of view. We haven't made it more solid. We've not gone into agreement with it. We've not resisted it. We've not reacted to it. We've not made it a reality. We've allowed reality to shift and change, and we call this being in allowance. Making it infinite. Hey, Steve, making it infinite. Sometimes, however, we don't catch ourselves at the early stage of buying into someone's point of view about money. The negativity has already run through us and taken a hold of us energetically. When this occurs, instead of reacting automatically to our emotions, we chose to make them infinite. Now, Annabeth, thank you for the contribution. Quiet, thank you. When this occurs, instead of reacting automatically to our emotions, we choose to make them infinite. And how do we do that? Well, we take whatever points of view we have about the situation and we make it infinite. We do this first by feeling the energy of the points of view and then expanding it to a size greater than the universe. And at this point, the point of view just disappears. And this is done by awareness. There's no specific action that has to be done. The point of view just vanishes as soon as we choose to make it infinite. When we make our money worries and our scarcity points of view infinite, they fade away and disappear. What a concept. This occurs because when we make a false point of view infinite, we're opening our consciousness to it and it drops away all by itself. It's as though we're removing the lid from a pressure cooker. Magnify the point of view to infiniteness and it becomes like empty space. And if your worry about money is a lie, it too will disappear. It works the other way for what is true. When we make something that is true infinite, it becomes more full and substantial. It feels more solid and valid, and it takes up more space. If it is the truth, it becomes more substantial. So what happens when people do not change their consciousness about money? Time and again, we found that people who don't have prosperity consciousness tend to play out beliefs from their upbringing about worthiness and value and money. Someone agrees. Time and again, we found that people who don't have prosperity consciousness tend to play out beliefs from their upbringing about worthiness, value, and money. Unfortunately, they cling to their old thoughts, and that's just the way life is. There's no way out. There are no other choices. One client said to me, I always have enough to survive. I don't really need any more than this to make it. I may not be rich, but I'm happy. And I've heard this excuse from people in every part of the world. They have a tendency to get ensnared in unconscious and limited thinking. And this prevents them from seeing opportunities all around them. There's been much discussion based on precepts of prosperity consciousness that if all the wealth on the planet were divided up and redistributed equally among everyone on earth tomorrow, and no one changed their consciousness about money, all the money and the resources would be back in the hands of the original owners within a few years. The originally wealthy people would be wealthy again, and the poor people would be poor again. A follow-up study of million-dollar lottery sweepstakes winners in Canada illustrates this point. The study found that the vast majority of sweepstakes winners were broke within 5 years of receiving their prizes. Their money consciousness had not developed to the point where they could benefit from their winnings for very long. Most of these winners believed that as soon as they won their lottery, they would be free of their poverty way of being. They believed that when they won the lottery, they would do everything they'd always wanted to. And the truth is, they did not need to wait for their conditions to change in order to be conscious of abundance. So right now is the time. Because those lottery winners didn't change their essential relationship with money, they had the same degree of limitation and financial mess after they won the lottery as they had before. The only difference was the mess was larger. So become aware of the thought patterns that sabotage you. A powerful way to begin to change your life and become prosperous is to start noticing what you expect to experience in life. Be aware of the consciousness that you have about money. If you're honest with yourself, then you will intuitively and instinctively perceive and know whether or not your relationship with money is expansive and conscious. Have you ever wondered what it would take to know exactly what you're doing and thinking that's getting in the way of your having more wealth? Well, when Steve and I work with clients, we help them to become aware of the thought patterns and the points of view that sabotage them without their even knowing it. We repeatedly observe the same pattern in people who do not have prosperity conscious thoughts of scarcity and insufficiency lead to actions of constraint and result in a lack of essential outcomes. So as you know, I love this book for so many different reasons, especially the stuff inside. But look, you get these amazing little gray boxes with practical tools and tips. You get the little video QR codes that are so much fun to go through. And then of course you get all the summary of the tools at the end of the chapter. So if you do not have a copy of the book, I highly, 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 highly recommend you get your ass out to a bookstore and get one. My 2 cents. Anyway, practical processes. First step to changing your relationship with money is awareness. Below I've listed several common ways that people sabotage their wealth potentials. If you're sincere about having more money in your life, then please reflect on how you spend a typical day in conjunction with money. What are you doing and thinking in relationship to money? Most people are usually doing one of the following: working hard for it, spending it, worrying about not having enough of it, planning what to do with it, or avoiding any discussion or thoughts about it. Never done that myself. See if you do any of these things. Do you often give money supremacy and control over you by attaching emotions to money? Do you worry about money when you look at your bank account? Do you function from the idea of spending money instead of creating money? How do you feel when you spend money? Do you throw away your money by spending it as a way to try to be happy or as a way to try to survive? Do you feel guilty every time you spend money? Do you spend out of fear, which produces lack, or do you spend with empowerment, which produces more? Do you care more about spending money than having it? If you think money is about spending it, then what's the likelihood that you will actually have it? Do you often feel apprehensive and reticent about asking for money that is due you? Are you diffident and hesitant when you must receive, ask for, or speak of money? Do you make choices based on cost only rather than quality? Do you allow money to do all your choosing for you? Do you worry about paying for an event that may be happening in the future? And are you concerned about paying bills that you expect to receive? Do you consistently think stressful thoughts about money? More practical processes. Here are some other things that you can pay attention to as you become more aware of your mindset about money. Do you gift freely of yourself? Is it hard for you to receive? Your attitudes towards money are often indicative of your attitudes towards life itself. So pay attention the next time you pull out your wallet or checkbook. Are you spending from a sense of loss, or are you gifting? Listen to what you're saying to yourself as you hand out money. What is your attitude about gifting? When is it easiest to gift? When is it hardest to gift? Listen to the inner voice ringing in your ears during money transactions. What is it going to take for you to become aware of the storylines of your personal expenditures? If you can look closely at how you use your money and how you feel when you spend money, then you will be able to discover exactly how you relate to it. Do you have many interesting excuses and justifications? Do you often say, I need to spend money because blank? Fill in the blank. The story of your personal spending can tell you a lot about the paradigm that you're functioning in. The way to function with money dictates how you handle difficulties, respond to situations, and conduct all aspects of your life. Letting go of the scarcity mindset. We have a colleague, prominent 40-something wealth creation expert, who applied his knowledge of property development to generate wealth beyond his imagination. Even though his bank account was growing rapidly, his consciousness was still stuck in the scarcity paradigm. This kept him from perceiving and experiencing his huge wealth. He often felt a chronic concern or even fear that he would never have enough, generate enough, or be able to keep enough money. Our colleague called us after attending the launch of our book, Conscious Leadership, in Melbourne last year. He said that he had an insight into his limitations as a result of our conversation at the book launch. He wanted us to help him to destroy and uncreate his limitations, and we agreed to advise him. When we began working with him, he realized that even though he was proficient at creating a lot of money, he was not able to enjoy his wealth because of the scarcity mindset that he was functioning in. He believed these fallacies: more is better, there's not enough for everyone, so I'd better hurry up and take mine now before somebody else does. And this kind of neediness mentality led him to be acquisitive, self-indulgent, and stingy. His scarcity state of mind kept him from perceiving and experiencing the ongoing natural state of abundance. Our colleague clearly demonstrated that money and success alone could not promise a gratifying and contented life. He was entirely focused on accumulation and acquisition. His mindset was that it was better to have more. He was focused on what he didn't have instead of what he could create. And he spent much of his time thinking about what he didn't have enough of and trying to figure out how he could acquire more. This created a sense of need, and it always led to greed. Greed meant that he tried to hold on to what he had, as if what he had was as good as it was going to get. This neediness mode became the lens through which he saw the world. And we asked him a question. So does this mode of thinking make you feel lighter? Now, what's the truth here? He responded, no, feels very heavy. We explained to him that if something made him feel heavy, then it was a lie for him, whether or not it was true for somebody else. And the truth, we said, will always make him feel lighter. A lie would always make him feel heavier. Truth and lies. We recommended that our wealth creation expert use an access tool called Truth and Lies to spot the lies of scarcity that he was functioning under. The principle behind this tool is that whenever our attention is stuck on something, there has to be a truth as well as a lie attached to it. We suggested that he could sort out the lies from the truth by asking this question: what part of this is true and what part is a lie, spoken or unspoken? We also advised him that the majority of lies that stick our attention are unspoken lies. Our wealth creation colleague was unaware that he had been functioning in a scarcity paradigm all his life. He was not able to step out of that paradigm by simply generating a lot of money, since he was modeling someone else's rules of wealth creation. He had been programmed to believe that it is better to have more, and he kept thinking about his financial affairs in terms of, I don't have enough, and I need more. We told him that if a thought kept coming back, that he should ask himself this question: what part is true? We explained that realizing the answer to that question would make him feel lighter. And following that, he could ask himself this: what are the lies, spoken or unspoken, that are attached to it? Our client thought about this. He was able to see that he was limiting himself from having true prosperity when he discovered these unspoken lies, that there's not enough money for everyone and that there's never enough. He became aware that his energy had been focused on trying to rise above this perceived, he became aware that his energy had been focused on trying to rise above this perceived sense of lack and the implanted fear of missing out and losing to others. And when he spotted these lies, the whole thing turned loose. The truth and lies process helped him to see the lies of scarcity that had been hanging him up. He was able to recognize that neediness was the emotion from which he had been creating. Our wealth creation colleague recognized that if he wanted to enjoy his wealth, the first thing he had to stop functioning was based on the lies of the scarcity paradigm. We advised him that he could use truth and lies on an ongoing basis to become aware of all the other unspoken lies of the scarcity mindset, which had been his primary mode of operation. Perceive, know, be, and receive. After doing the truth and lies process, our wealth creation colleague told us that he wished to continue to develop and expand his prosperity consciousness. He recognized that no matter what actions he took to generate enormous wealth, and even if he possessed huge sums of money, he could never be truly prosperous unless his consciousness changed. Everything would remain the same. He would still have persistent anxiety about not having enough. So we invited him to use the access tool known as Perceive, Know, Be, and Receive to unlock his limitations around money. We suggested that he ask the following question 30 times a day for at least 3 days. What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? Shall we do it again? Maybe we do it 30 times, or at least 10. Okay. What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? And what must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? I do too, Brad. And what must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? So this question started to unlock the places where he had created his life as the limitation that it had become. It enabled him to start making his life into a celebration, and he now looks for the joy of his life instead of the despondency and the insufficiency. He's creating a whole different reality. And how does it get any better than this? Steve and I use this tool on a regular basis to change any area of our lives that's not working the way we would like it to work. This simple process constantly helps us to unlock our limitations. We like to use the following long version. Perceive, know, be, and receive what I refuse to, dare not, must never, and must also perceive, know, be, and receive. That would allow me total clarity and ease with blank. So you get to put anything that you like in there. Perceive, know, be, and receive what I refuse to, dare not, must never, and must also perceive, know, be, and receive. That would allow me total clarity and ease with fill in the blank. We put anything that we're concerned about in the blank. Issues related to money, job, relationship, investments, or staff. To choose or not to choose. It's your choice. Steve and I have met many people who manage to attract large sums of money, but are not able to retain the energy or make their money expand. They're stuck in the scarcity paradigm and are always focused on being broke or poor, or trying not to be broke or poor. It doesn't matter how much money they have in their lives. If they're holding on to scarcity state of mind, then they will never be anything but poor, because that's what they've convinced themselves that they are. No one sets out in life to be permanently broke. No one could possibly intentionally desire a life of poverty and failure. So why do people assume a lifestyle of scarcity, which for some reason becomes permanent? We're living in an abundant universe. Why can't these people seem to get out of this poverty trap? Even when they receive unexpected handouts, they always find a way of getting rid of them quickly. Money never seems to stay with them for very long. They're always waiting for their external circumstances to change or finding reasons why they can't possibly prosper. Steve and I had this message harshly demonstrated to us once when we were attempting to assist a friend who was having financial difficulties. We loaned him a substantial sum of money to clear his credit card debt. We also offered him other tools and recommendations that we knew would be helpful to help him look at how he created his money problems. Well, he turned down our offer, and when we asked if he had been working with the tools or recommendations that we'd provided, he said, well, no, not really. He didn't have time. He was too busy. It was too hard. He didn't think that the tools were suitable for him. He couldn't imagine how they would work in this situation. Well, what he really needed was more money so that he could get out of his financial predicament that he was in again. He had so many justifications for why his life was the way that it was. Now, at first, I did not allow myself to truly perceive the truth of where our friend was sitting. I got sucker punched by him time and time again because I was unwilling to look at what he was doing that was not expansive and not good. I made the mistake of thinking that because he had asked us to help him clear his credit card debt, that he also wanted to get clear of his scarcity mindset and become conscious. No, it didn't take us long to realize that no matter how much money we were willing to give our friend, he would spend it immediately. He would be back, asking for more, with no intention of paying it back. He had expressed no interest in getting out of the poverty lifestyle, even though his financial situations had gone from bad to worse. He refused to emerge from the box that he had trapped himself in. We recognized that his choice was to be anti-conscious with money and with the way that he created his life. He didn't choose to be aware of the things that he did, and it was his choice. We acknowledged his choice without judging it as right or wrong or good or bad. We did not try to impose our point of view on him. Instead, we asked him some questions that encouraged him to be aware of his choices. What do you want out of life? What would it take to have everything in your life expanding exponentially? What would you do with the money? How would you use the money? What are you unwilling to receive about money that if you were willing to receive it would allow you to create great amounts of money in your life? We're grateful for the valuable experience that we had with our friend because it prompted us to examine some important questions. Why is it that some people can't Why can't some people get out of the poverty trap? And what strips them of the power to change? And what are the differentiating factors between truly prosperous people and those with a scarcity mentality? So we embarked on a journey to discover what the fundamental differences are between people who have plenty of wealth and people who are always short or ephemeral supply of riches. Through our inquiry, exploration, and investigation, we discovered once again that it has to do with choice, baby. Exercising the power of choice. We discovered that unlike prosperous people, people who function in the scarcity paradigm do not exercise their power of choice as a way of life. In fact, most people who have a scarcity mindset are not aware that they have choices at all. They don't know that they can choose the quality of their lives. The scope of what they can attain is limited by their lack of awareness and by what they fail to choose. Because they're not aware of what they don't know, there's little that they can do to change. To them, change is unimaginable. These people cannot and will not acknowledge that they are the creators of their realities. They've crafted their lifestyles according to their own financial sob stories. These are the stories that give their lives meaning and significance. They've created their lives by their stories, and they're on a mission to prove to the rest of the world that their life sucks. Our friend with the money problems was addicted to his own trauma, drama, and unconsciousness around money. He had a propensity to dwell in the scarcity mindset. He'd focused on lack and blamed his financial condition on poor market conditions, health, natural disasters, or other external situations. He was not willing to do what it takes to change his life. Sadly, our friend had built his financial sob story on a pile of lies. He was no longer aware of the lies that he was telling about his finances to keep his stories going. And the more that he stuck to his financial sob story, the more his story became solid and real. His reality was not one of abundance. It was one of scarcity and lack, and it was his choice. Our friend was drawn towards the comfortable habit of worrying and tormenting himself about things that were outside of his control. He was focused on what he couldn't do. He was waiting for the conditions beyond his control to improve. He made decisions based on what he thought he wanted, but he was not open to what was possible. He had created his reality from, I want more money. I don't want money. In our experience with working with clients and with ourselves, Steve and I have learned that when we think or say, I want, fill in the blank, we are actually saying, I lack. We may think we, quote unquote, want something, but most of the time, this sentiment is an indication of the scarcity paradigm at work. When we say we want something, we're judging that we don't have enough of it. This is often an indication of how we feel that we, ourselves, are not enough. When we think that we're not enough, then we try to make up for that internal sense of lack and insufficiency by wanting the things that we see around us. The word want is a key element of the scarcity paradigm. Gary recommended that instead of creating from I want money, that we create from I don't want money. He explained that every time we say I want money, we're actually saying I lack money. And that's exactly what shows up in our lives. So whatever it is that you focus on, that's what you get more of. When we focus on I lack money, you'll feel yourself going into an unconstructive and uncreative mode. And from this place, there's no solution. When you focus on the lack, you'll get more of that lack. And if you don't like what you're getting, then you will have to change your thinking. Gary suggested an experiment to help you shift your paradigm. So say this statement 10 times. I don't want money. 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 Now, if you're like most people, then saying I don't want money will make you feel lighter, might even make you giggle. Because when you say it, you're saying I don't lack money. And this is where things start opening up for you. When you start saying, I don't want money, I don't want money, I don't want money, I don't want money, I don't want money. When you start saying, I don't want money, and acknowledging the truth that you don't lack money, then you will draw money to you out of scarcity and into prosperity. Steve and I discovered that to become prosperous, all we had to do was choose prosperity consciousness. Prosperity consciousness is a choice. Just as a scarcity paradigm and anti-consciousness are choices. Prosperity consciousness is easily accessible to all who would like it if they perceive and know that they can have it and are willing to receive it and be it. You might be thinking, well, that's easier said than done. How do I choose prosperity consciousness when I feel stuck in the scarcity paradigm? Or maybe you know what you need to do, but you just can't seem to do it. If you don't like being stuck in the scarcity paradigm, why would you keep focusing on it and choosing it? So to choose prosperity consciousness, you have to pay no heed to what you find objectionable about your financial situation. Instead, you have to focus on the unlimited alternative possibilities and what you would like to create. When Steve and I started to do this, we began to perceive and receive many new opportunities. We were able to act on them regardless of what our reality concerning our financial situation had been up to that very point. So what's it going to take for you to make a choice to be greater than your present situation? What's it going to take for you to expand your prosperity consciousness? Practical process. Get a sense of what it would be like to be conscious, right? And to have prosperity consciousness. What would that be like? Ask yourself this question. What would I be if I were being the infinite being I truly am? Showing up as the infinite being you are. If you're going to be conscious and prosperous, who do you have to be? Well, the answer is you have to be yourself. You have to claim and own the capacity to show up as you. You, the infinite being you actually are. And when I first heard that I had to claim and own the capacity to show up as me, as the infinite being, I was uncertain what this actually meant. I used to have the idea that to be an infinite being, I had to be faultless, flawless, and superbly perfect in every way. I thought it meant that I had to behave in a certain way, that I was making the idea of being an infinite being very significant. It takes a lot of energy to make something significant, and in doing so, I became bewildered. But instead of giving up, I kept asking myself 3 questions. What would I be if I were being the infinite being I truly am? What is it going to take for me to claim and own the capacity to show up as me, as the infinite being? And what are the infinite possibilities for this to happen with ease? Because that's a choice too, baby. I had no clue how it was going to happen or what it would look like. I just kept asking these 3 questions. What would I be if I were being the infinite being I truly am? What's it going to take for me to claim and own the capacity to show up as me, the infinite being? And what are the infinite possibilities for this to happen with ease? These questions help me to realize that claiming and owning the capacity to show up as me is the same energy that I experienced as a little kid when I was willing to just be me. When I was a kid, I was not out to impress anybody. I didn't try to do anything. I was just being the infinite being I truly am. I was willing to have communion with everything around me, and I was not putting up barriers to receiving anything. And this is what the energy of showing up as me feels like. It's not about pretending or becoming something that I'm not. When I was able to perceive what the energy felt like, I was able to embody it. And I began to become prosperous the moment I chose for myself to be. Prosperity consciousness is about right here, right now. It occurs in the moment I choose to be all that is possible. Abundance, prosperity, and wealth are always available to you, but you have to choose to make yourself available to them. Are you willing to receive, to claim, own, and acknowledge that you are worthy of abundance, prosperity, and wealth? Love it, love it, love it. And as you know, in this delightful book, we have lots of different, tools and practical processes and the little QR reader things that you can scan and watch amazing videos with the two magical Bowmans that are there inviting you, going, come, 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 you can have it too. But at the end of every chapter, and I love this to make it like really silly friendly for people like me, you have a rundown of all the tools that were in the chapter, and they're absolutely amazing. So I'm just gonna read through this particular list. Tools to help you choose prosperity consciousness. Be in allowance. Say to yourself, that's an interesting point of view. An interesting point of view. I have this point of view about money. Use making it infinite when you encounter negative points of view. Things to do: take that negative point of view about a situation and make it infinite. Feel the energy of the point of view and expand it to a size greater than the universe. Because it's false, the point of view will vanish as soon as you decide to make it infinite. Become aware of the thought patterns that sabotage you. So things to do: notice what you expect to experience in life. Be aware of your consciousness around money, and use truth and lies to spot the lies of scarcity. Questions to ask: does this belief make me feel lighter? Yes or no? What is the truth here? And what part of this is true? What part of it is a lie, spoken or unspoken? So discover the truth of thoughts that keep coming back. Questions to ask: all right, so what part of this is true? And what are the lies, spoken or unspoken, that are attached to this thought? And use perceive, know, be, and receive to unlock your limitations around money. A question to ask and something to say to yourself. What must I perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with money, prosperity, and abundance? Perceive, know, be, and receive what I refuse to, dare not, must never, and must also perceive, know, be, and receive that would allow me total clarity and ease with blank. While this question seems long, each word has been chosen for its energy. The overall effect when this question is asked is to release any unspoken and unrecognized limitations, and then show up as the infinite being you are. Questions to ask: what would I be if I were being the infinite being I truly am? What's it going to take for me to claim and own the capacity to show up as me, the infinite being? And what are the infinite possibilities for this to happen with ease? So thank you very much for joining me here live in this beautiful rainy evening. Again, this is the Prosperity Consciousness book by Stephen and Chutisa Bowman. I love it. It is absolutely fantastic. I will put a link down below so that you can find it readily on the Access shop. It's also available. I have it on Kindle, and then I have it this way. I kind of like this way. It feels good to go through the papers, plus I can, mutilate it, draw on it, highlight it. So much fun. Anyway, it's a lovely book. I carry it with me to lots of places. This is one of those purse hiders. It goes in my purse and comes riding with me, and if I'm ever in unexpected traffic or in a lineup somewhere or just whatever, I pull out my book and I've got a little bit of Stephen Chutisa with me. I was also lucky enough to have chosen a phenomenal 3-month adventure with them at the beginning of this year, and they're about to embark on another one. That sounds like so yummy and delicious as well, which is beginning in October. So how does it get any better than that? Any of you guys who are interested can register on I believe on their pages on the Access Consciousness website. We'll have to find a link. Also their website, the2bowmans.com, you can definitely find a sign up link over there as well, and I'll see what I can paste down below. Anyway, thank you, and buenas noches. Ciao.